Hello everyone, welcome to EVERSPACE, an arcade-like space game with roguelike elements. EVERSPACE is developed by Rockfish Games. Story. The story starts out quite basic. Stylistic artwork with a tad bit of uninspired voice work lay out the story, at first in a confusing manner. However, the further you get during each playthrough, you'll slowly but surely unfold the story piece by way of the game giving a decent bit of story exposition gradually without going overboard. This carrot-on-a-stick approach of storytelling provides all the more reason to continue playing aside from the solid gameplay mechanics. In short, you play as Adam Roslin. He's restrained and injected with a cytotoxin for yet reasons unknown, and you manage to escape in a spaceship and head towards certain coordinates in search for answers. In your journey, you encounter your former best friend who seems to have a huge grudge against you, along with the many hostile entities in the galaxy, the likes of pirates and aliens alike. The universe has a story yet untold, eager for you to unfold it piece by piece. Graphics. The first thing that immediately becomes clear is the graphical quality of EVERSPACE. The high quality presentation immediately jumps out at you the minute you leave hyperspace and spot countless asteroids floating in the distance, illuminated by the whitish glare of a distant white dwarf. Or when you travel to another sector through a jump gate, only to be welcomed by huge frozen chunks of ice floating about aimlessly and eternally, accompanied by a massive planet that no doubt would have its own story to tell. Not only that, but the hazards in this game are also portrayed well, and it makes venturing close to them both beautiful and daunting. Overall, I'd say the visuals are stunningly beautiful with truly jaw-dropping moments of eye candy. Luckily, the game has enough graphical variety too to keep each and every section as visually impressive as the very first time you entered the game, if not increasingly so. Gameplay. Once you gain control of your ship, you'll most likely immediately notice the fluidity and smoothness of controlling your ship. It just feels great. Your ship is easy to control and it feels very arcadey to fly, but in a very good way. The ease of control allows you to quickly turn, barrel roll, and boost whichever direction you want. What this great movement in essence provides is to play a space game with minimal reliance on ship controls, yet maximum reliance on your own skills as the player. So if you mess up, it's usually your own mistakes rather than a clumsy ship that could have taken the blame in most other space games. That's not to say your own ship has no effect on your success, which it has, but the degree of your success is more determined by your shooting skills, the mods you have built into it, and of course, as is the case with all roguelike games, luck. Lots of luck. Now, there's actually quite a huge variety and possible combinations of both modifications and weapons. Each weapon and mod has its own strengths and weaknesses, such as increased power for a more intense energy consumption as a trade-off. Or you might stumble upon a powerful weapon like the scattergun, which has the unfortunate downside of exceptionally low range with terrible accuracy. To complement weapons, there is a large degree of different modifications and even consumables that you can pick up by flying into them that can all play a very large role in your overall success and may lead to a wide range of possible playstyles. If you want to play hard to get, you might choose to go for long-range weapons paired with reinforced shields that don't eat away your energy too quickly to allow for a quick boost or two in sticky situations. Or you might throw caution out the window and equip yourself with close-quarter weapons coupled with handy drones that provide cover from missile fire and a few hull-repairing consumables to deal with enemies quickly and efficiently. Given the fact that you get to equip multiple weapons at once, specialized in either dealing major damage to shields or an enemy's hull, the game encourages you to use your given weapons to the best of their abilities in whatever situation you face. Now, facing opposition and destroying them like the insignificant worms they are yields a large variety of different items, some of which are tremendously important to your own survival, such as fuel and credits, but also weapon upgrades and resources, which can then be used for some quick crafting on the fly. Given the game's roguelike nature, each game progresses differently, most depending on the type of item you run into. However, being able to craft items and improving them, or to use resources to repair your ship, you can somewhat diminish the pain of having a bad run, or you can actually elevate a good run into an excellent run. But then again, given its roguelike nature, your luck can just as easily turn sour too in a moment's notice. To further diminish, if not remove, a small degree of difficulty, you can spend your credits acquired during each run in your hangar in between sessions. Here you can decide to spend a good amount of credits on a few new ships, or simply improve your current one, aside from spending the credits on a more global improvement, such as the ability to get critical strikes on enemies, or even to increase the effectiveness of your sensor, allowing you to see what kind of hazards lie in the next section of space you plan to visit. It's also possible to spend your credits while playing the game itself by visiting trader ships. Since not all sections are safe due to the hazards, it's quite helpful to be able to determine what to brace for. There's quite a large amount of different hazards you can run into, some of which largely unimportant and relatively safe, while some others require you to, for instance, actively dodge an incoming solar storm. Not knowing what you're going to face is also evident with the random missions that occasionally pop up. These types of missions are simple in nature and reward you with delicious credits, often making it worth the trouble. Now, the actual combat is done well, with a good number of different enemy types to keep things interesting without growing stale. Most enemy behavior is indicated by the enemy type, such as interceptors or webbers. Interceptors can be particularly tricky, for instance, because they behave like a bunch of pansies that very frequently warp small distances to disorient you. Pair these types of ships with Webber drones that continuously try to trap you in their force field, and you got the perfect recipe for disaster. That's certainly the case if there's an elite version amongst them. I once fought an elite interceptor that I just could not kill no matter what I tried. I couldn't often down its shield in time, and when I did, the enemy simply jumped away from me long enough to regenerate its shields to a troublesome amount. Thankfully, if you keep an eye on your systems and energy levels, you can often decide to just skip all the hassle entirely by boosting away to a safe distance, or by aligning yourself with the next jump coordinates to get out of trouble altogether. Jumping does consume fuel, however, and jumping with less fuel than required is possible, but I'd strongly advise against it, because it can really mess you up good. Not only is there a very real possibility of sustaining much hull damage, you can also damage more vital components, such as your engine or sensor, and even your primary and secondary weapons, which in essence eliminates any chance of survival if you don't have the required materials for repair on hand. Which is often. Thankfully, you can at least soften the blow of bad luck by playing carefully and thoughtfully, risk severe damage by jumping with low fuel, or scavenge the sector some more in hopes of finding a derelict ship with essential resources on board. Engage that intimidating looking squad of fighters in the distance, or spend a bit more time evading them by flying around them. Lastly, I'd like to mention that I do think the damage model is a bit too severe. I don't mind being able to lose vital parts of the ship in a way, but when I lost my sensor's functionality due to damage, for instance, I felt pretty damn useless. I couldn't target anything or even get a good sense of my surroundings. While not making the game impossible to play, it didn't really make it a lot more fun either, compared to playing a shooter and losing your crosshair, except a little bit worse. And given the rarity of certain repair components, this effectively ended my run as well as my fun. So if this kind of punishment irks you, it might be something to consider before buying the game. Overall score: the good. Beautiful visuals. EVERSPACE often features simply jaw-droppingly stunning visuals that go a long way in immersing you into the game. Smooth controls. The fantastic controls and fluidity make the game surprisingly easy and smooth to play, and this is not only true when it comes to flying, but also when in combat. Story exposition. Despite the story itself not really feeling like it's the primary focus of the game, the way the story gradually unfolds gives another reason to continue playing and to try and get further than your last failed attempt. Bonus points here for the extensive background information contained within the codex. Skills and crafting. The crafting is done well for a roguelike game, and the improvement of your skills makes it easy to come back to for more, all the while becoming bigger and stronger. Satisfying progression. The game has a great sense of progression, so it hardly ever feels like time wasted without gaining anything meaningful. which is arguably quite rare in roguelike type games. Difficulty settings. The difficulty settings are perfectly tailored to please both newbies and veterans of the genre alike. The bad. Occasionally feels cheap. Sometimes you just get damaged and then randomly lose a vital part of your ship, seemingly for no reason other than bad luck. These moments feel cheap. To add on to this, obtaining the items to repair such damage seems a bit too hard and random together. Closing words. EVERSPACE is the kind of game I never even realized I wanted. It's just so simple to play, yet hard to master. The incentive to use your credits to improve your passive skills makes it easy to come back to, and even a little addicting, while at the same time it provides the game with a strong sense of progression to keep things interesting and varied. Is it worth it? If you're looking for a hardcore space sim, this is not it. What it is, however, is a very good and accessible game that has, like other roguelikes, the possibility of endless replayability. So yeah, this game is absolutely worth the money. My name is SirDutchie, thanks so much for watching, and please don't forget to like or dislike the video, that really does help me out. I wish you, as usual, a fantastic spacey day.